Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. Call the police, she's Luna. Electra is shocked when she discovered Luna in disguise at the party. Will cheats with masked Luna, betrays Electra during drunken wild night? On an inebriated wild night, Will Spencer might betray Electra Forrester and adultery with masked Luna Nozawa. Luna is focused on the same old objectives now that she has emerged from her coma and is making significant progress in her recuperation. None of that is surprising because Luna still desires to become close to John Finnegan and take Will for herself. The unexpected aspect, though, would be if Luna can, in fact, accomplish those objectives, at least somewhat. Since Luna has been thinking about Will most of the time since she woke up, let's concentrate on him. Despite his love for Electra, Will has undoubtedly been experiencing some frustration in their relationship. Will hopes to take their romance to the next level and deepen it soon, but he doesn't want to put any pressure on Electra. That might be significant because Electra essentially implied that Will might be lucky on the evening of the next Il Giardino party. Will appears to believe that this will be a memorable evening for them. Luna is obviously anxious to impress Will, and if she does things well, she might get the opportunity. Regretfully, that implies that Electra will experience some heartache in the future. Electra hinted about the direction of her plot with Will in the August 14th episode. It was mentioned in a story about Electra's parents, who separated after her father had an affair with her mother. Electra has been extremely cautious about relationships and large moves like the one she hopes to eventually take with Will because of this. Electra obviously didn't want to experience the same sense of betrayal that her mother did. Electra was reassured by Will that she was his true love and that he had no interest in anyone else. All of this, however, seems pretty sinister, as if B&B were destined to cheat on Electra like her mother did. This plot must be moving forward even though there is no rational explanation for Will's desire to voluntarily hook up with insane Luna. In the B&B preview video for the week of August 18th to 22nd, Luna appears to be somewhat wicked as she breaks into the party disguised and wielding a mask. One possibility is that the show is preparing for a reimagining of a 2010 plotline. Since they were all attending a masquerade party, that is when masked Brooke Logan became enamored with Hope Logan's lover, Oliver Jones, believing him to be Ridge Forrester. Oliver believed that, for the first time, he was becoming hot and heavy with Hope and preventing passion from erupting with her mother. Because of Luna's mask, the program might be preparing for another case of mistaken identification. Will might wind up slipping away to have sex with Electra, also known as Luna, in the back alley or something similar. Will might be somewhat at a disadvantage because of the disguise and all the alcohol he might be planning to consume. Will may become even more confused if Luna gives him a medication in his drink. Until they revised it so that Luna understood exactly what she was doing that night, Luna's own connection with Zend Forrester Dominguez was once the consequence of a concoction of special mints and wine. Even though Will won't realize it right away, Luna will know exactly what she's doing now and appears ready to persuade him to cheat on Electra. Electra's abrupt change in Luna's new plan sends Will into a tailspin. Luna Nozawa is improving every day. She has the chance to pursue Will Spencer because of her unbelievable survival and recovery. When Luna first saw Will, she fell in love with him. That took place when Luna's father, Bill Spencer, was hiding her presence in his house. From that point in the story to Luna's current residence, viewers were treated to a startling thrill ride. Luna's apparent death led to the formation of an alliance between her grandmothers, Lee Nozawa and Sheila Carter Sharp. Lee Nozawa's work is sincere. Lee despises Luna's mom. Lee misconceived an affair with her now ex-husband, Jack Finnegan, as part of Poppy Nozawa's careless lifestyle. When a forced DNA test she performed revealed that Jack wasn't Luna's father, viewers remember Lee feeling embarrassed that her long-held assumption had been incorrect. Even more astounding was the confirmation that Luna's father was John Finnegan. Lee was enraged by that result and has never been able to tolerate seeing Poppy again. Luna was then shot after attempting to murder additional people. Her perspective was drastically altered by Lee's ability to save Luna, and the faked death scenario was created out of sympathy for her harsh upbringing. Sheila comprehends everything, strengthening their already solid relationship. The Forresters were not loved by Sheila Carter Sharp. Additionally, Sheila benefited from a shift. Regarding Finn's biological mother, Steffi Forrester Finnegan has somewhat loosened her position. Sheila put her life in danger to rescue Liam Spencer's, and Wood's character understands this. Steffi and Sheila's relationship was altered by their involvement in that crazy scene at the beach house, but will it still be improving when Wood's character gets back from her trip? Will is what Luna desires. Previously, Sheila had urged her to approach him. But since then, there have been occurrences that have changed people's lives. Sheila might therefore no longer agree with Luna's new goals or even her decision to remain in Los Angeles, California. Electra Forrester's emotions have grown. Will, Electra Forrester's first love, is very important to her. Luna thought there might be a chance because he had more relationship experience than she did. Will didn't find Luna attractive. She eventually irritated him, and he no longer wanted to interact with her. However, that was prior to his consenting to entrap her while wearing a wire. Anyone would lose the game if Luna pulled a gun on Will. But Luna isn't your typical individual. Among her inflated fantasies is the concept of coupling with him once she is completely recovered. However, given Electra's recent change of heart, Luna's reliance on naivete, in which she saw Grace's character as inferior, may soon come to an end. Will Spencer, his cautiously devoted fiancée Electra Forrester, and the dangerously resurgent Luna Nozawa, whose emergence from a coma has not dulled her obsessive ambitions but rather sharpened them with a renewed, almost feral, focus, Luna's singular objectives remain chillingly unchanged: to forge an unbreakable bond with John Finn Finnegan and, more perilously for Will and Electra, to wrench Will Spencer irrevocably away from his chosen partner and claim him as her own, a goal that, while predictable in its recurrence, now carries the unnerving weight of potential fruition, particularly as the narrative threads weave towards an explosive convergence at the upcoming Il Giardino masquerade party. Will, undeniably anchored by his profound love for Electra, navigates increasingly turbulent emotional waters, wrestling with a palpable undercurrent of frustration born from Electra's deeply ingrained caution, her past, irrevocably scarred by the devastating betrayal her mother endured when her father strayed, has erected formidable walls around her heart, making her hesitant to fully surrender to the physical culmination of their deep emotional bond, despite Will's patient assurances and evident desire to elevate their relationship to its most intimate level. This very tension finds its potential release point in the imminent Il Giardino festivities, where Electra, signaling a significant shift, has tantalizingly hinted that Will might get lucky, transforming the evening in Will's hopeful eyes into the long-awaited, pivotal milestone where their love would finally be consummated and solidified, a night destined for memory. Yet, hovering like a venomous shadow over this anticipated intimacy is Luna Nozawa, her obsession with Will burning brighter than ever, her strategic mind already calculating the vulnerabilities she can exploit within the party's decadent, disguised atmosphere to ignite the sizzle she craves, a craving that positions her not as a mere rival, but as an active saboteur poised to shatter Electra's fragile trust and inflict the very heartache Electra has spent a lifetime desperately trying to avoid. The foreshadowing of this impending doom is laid bare in Electra's poignant recounting of her parents' tragic history, the infidelity that destroyed their marriage and, by extension, Electra's foundational sense of security and love, a story shared with Will that resonated not as a simple anecdote, but as a chilling prophecy whispered by the narrative itself. Will's earnest vow that Electra is his unequivocal it, his sole desire, rings with sincerity in the moment, yet the specter of history repeating itself casts an inescapably ominous pall over their future, suggesting that the show, with a cruel sense of dramatic irony, might indeed be steering Electra towards mirroring her mother's painful fate, experiencing the soul-crushing sting of betrayal from the man she dared to trust. Logically, the notion of Will Spencer, a man defined by his loyalty and clear-eyed affection for Electra, willingly succumbing to the overtures of the manipulative and increasingly unstable Luna seems utterly implausible, bordering on absurd. However, the relentless narrative momentum, coupled with Luna's demonstrably ruthless determination and the show's established penchant for high-stakes melodrama, demands that this storyline hurtle towards some form of devastating climax, negating the possibility of a simple fizzle-out. The crucial mechanism for bypassing Will's logical aversion and inherent loyalty appears poised to arrive via the masquerade party's central gimmick, the mask, and a potent cocktail of lowered inhibitions, strategically reinforced by the show's previews explicitly showcasing Luna clutching her disguise with an expression dripping with mischievous, predatory intent. This scenario chillingly echoes a notorious chapter from the show's own history, the 2010 masquerade debacle where identities were grotesquely swapped. Brooke Logan, masked, engaged in a passionate encounter with Oliver Jones, who, also masked, believed he was finally making love to his girlfriend, Hope Logan, tragically unaware he was entangled with her mother. The parallels are too stark to ignore: the masked party setting, the potential for mistaken identity fueled by anonymity and alcohol, and the catastrophic consequences of passion ignited under false pretenses. Here, the stage is meticulously set for Luna to weaponize her anonymity, exploiting the shadows, the flowing champagne, and Will's likely celebratory drinking, perhaps even surreptitiously augmented by Luna herself, recalling her history with Zend Forrester Dominguez where a toxic mix of special mints and alcohol led to a regretted encounter, a tactic she could easily redeploy with chilling premeditation. Luna could maneuver Will into a secluded corner, a dimly lit terrace, a shadowed garden path, the privacy of a back alley, presenting herself not as the dangerous interloper he knows, but as his beloved Electra, finally ready to surrender to their passion. The mask becomes Luna's most potent tool, obscuring her identity and allowing Will's intoxicated state, potentially intensified by tampered refreshments, to override his senses and judgment. In that haze of alcohol, heightened anticipation, and sensory confusion, the touch, the scent, the whispered words, easily mimicked or obscured by the party's din, could all conspire to convince Will that the woman yielding to him is Electra, fulfilling the promise of the evening. The true horror lies in Luna's absolute awareness. Unlike the ambiguous culpability in her past with Zend, this act would be one of cold, calculated predation. She will know exactly who she is deceiving, and exactly the nuclear devastation her actions will unleash upon Electra and Will's relationship. Her goal isn't mere passion, it's possession through annihilation, a deliberate act of sabotage designed to fracture the trust between Will and Electra irreparably. Thus, the drunken wild night threatens to become the crucible in which Will Spencer, through no fault of his conscious, sober self, is maneuvered into committing an unforgivable betrayal. He may physically cheat on Electra, believing her to be his partner, only to awaken to the horrifying reality that he was intimate with Luna, the architect of their ruin, while the real Electra, perhaps waiting for him or searching the party, is poised to discover the devastating truth. This potential encounter under the mask isn't just a reckless mistake, it's a meticulously orchestrated violation by Luna, ensuring Will betrays Electra in the most profound way possible, fulfilling Electra's deepest fear and potentially dooming their love story to collapse under the weight of a lie, a disguise, and one woman's terrifyingly focused vengeance disguised as desire. Luna Nozawa, whose improbable survival and accelerating recovery are less a medical marvel and more a terrifying catalyst for her reawakened obsession with Will Spencer. Luna's journey from the shadowy secret Bill Spencer concealed within his own home, where her infatuation with the oblivious Will first took root as a dangerous seedling, to her current state, perched on the precipice of renewed delusion, has been a narrative roller coaster defined by trauma, betrayal, and the most unlikely of alliances. Her grandmothers, the fiercely protective Lee Nozawa and the notoriously unpredictable Sheila Carter Sharp, bound together in the crucible of Luna's perceived death, orchestrated an elaborate ruse, faking her demise to shield her from consequences and, perhaps, to shield the world from her. Lee's motivations stem from a profound, albeit complex, love, a desperate attempt to atone for the brutal upbringing Luna endured under the chaotic influence of her despised mother, Poppy, a past poisoned by Lee's own mistaken belief in Poppy's affair with Jack Finnegan, a belief spectacularly shattered by the DNA test revealing John Finn Finnegan as Luna's father, a revelation that ignited Lee's fury towards Poppy but also deepened her protective guilt towards her damaged granddaughter. Witnessing Luna's descent into violence, culminating in her own near-fatal shooting, forged a resolve in Lee that transcended her rigid principles, leading her to embrace the unthinkable, an alliance with Sheila. And Sheila, ever the opportunist navigating the treacherous waters of her own redemption, found in this shared secret a bizarre form of kinship with Lee, her perspective irrevocably altered not just by Luna's plight but by her own daring act saving Liam Spencer, an act that miraculously softened the icy disdain of Steffi Forrester Finnegan, Finn's wife and Sheila's longtime nemesis. This fragile truce with Steffi, born on the chaotic beach house floor, hangs precariously in the balance as Steffi vacations, its survival uncertain upon her return, adding another layer of tension to Sheila's already precarious position. Yet, within this complex web of grandmotherly devotion and shifting moral compasses, Luna's singular focus remains unnervingly clear: Will Spencer. Sheila, in a moment of characteristic manipulation or perhaps misguided encouragement earlier in the twisted saga, had once fueled Luna's ambitions, whispering possibilities of claiming Will. But the landscape has fractured dramatically since those whispered suggestions. Luna is no longer just a lovesick girl, she's a survivor marked by violence, her perception of reality dangerously skewed. Sheila, now potentially cherishing the fragile connection with Steffi and Finn, and understanding the sheer magnitude of Luna's instability more acutely, may find the cost of supporting Luna's renewed, potentially homicidal pursuit of Will far too high, possibly even advocating for Luna's removal from Los Angeles altogether to contain the explosive threat she represents. This potential withdrawal of Sheila's sanction, however, crashes against the immovable object of Luna's pathological fixation. Luna's desire for Will, born in the distorted reality of her hidden existence in his father's home, has curdled into something far more sinister. She clings to a grotesquely romanticized narrative where her suffering and survival entitle her to him, conveniently erasing the chilling memory of pulling a gun on him, an act that would have permanently severed any sane connection. But Luna operates beyond sanity's borders. She views this profound betrayal not as a deal-breaker, but as a dramatic obstacle to be overcome, part of a twisted love story only she comprehends, believing her full recovery will magically erase the terror she inflicted and open Will's arms. Her strategy, chilling in its calculated naivete, relied heavily on exploiting what she perceived as Electra Forrester's simplicity, her lack of worldly experience compared to Will's own romantic history. Luna saw Electra, Will's first love, as an inferior rival, easily displaced once Luna applied her superior understanding of passion and possession. She banked on Electra's innocence, creating an opening she could ruthlessly exploit. However, Luna fatally underestimated the human heart's capacity for growth and resilience, particularly when forged in the fires of adversity. Electra Forrester, initially defined by youthful idealism and perhaps a certain wide-eyed innocence, is undergoing a seismic internal shift. Her deep, genuine feelings for Will, tested by the chaos Luna introduced and the trauma Will endured, are hardening into something stronger, more protective, and far less naive. Witnessing Will's tailspin, his fear, his trauma from Luna's attack, the emotional fallout of his own involvement in her entrapment, has acted as a brutal catalyst for Electra's maturation. The inferior rival Luna dismissed is evolving, shedding the skin of inexperience, her love transforming from a gentle flame into a more formidable force. This sudden shift in Electra is the unpredictable tremor threatening to collapse Luna's entire delusional scheme. Luna counted on Electra's perceived weakness, she did not anticipate her awakening strength. Electra's deepening love and burgeoning protectiveness create a shield around Will that Luna's warped logic cannot easily penetrate. This newfound resolve in Electra signals the potential end of the passive acceptance Luna expected, promising instead fierce resistance. Luna's plan, predicated on exploiting vulnerability, now faces a defender whose vulnerability is rapidly giving way to determination. Electra's evolution doesn't just close the perceived opening Luna coveted, it fundamentally alters the battlefield, turning the naive target Luna planned to sideline into a potentially powerful adversary fueled by authentic love and a fierce desire to protect the man Luna seeks to possess at any cost. Will Spencer, caught in the devastating aftermath of Luna's violence and the emotional whiplash of her death and resurrection, remains perilously vulnerable, a man psychologically scarred and struggling to find solid ground. His initial disinterest in Luna curdled into annoyance, then hardened into revulsion and fear after her lethal betrayal, feelings unlikely to be erased by her miraculous return. Yet, Luna's recovery fuels her dangerous certainty, while Sheila's potential withdrawal of support adds a layer of unpredictable isolation to her actions. Meanwhile, Electra's sudden shift, her love deepening into something more fierce and protective precisely because of the trauma inflicted by Luna, presents the most potent, unforeseen challenge to Luna's obsessive goals. The stage is set not just for a romantic rivalry, but for a collision of profound psychological forces, Luna's entitled, delusional obsession crashing against Electra's authentic, evolving love and Will's fragile, traumatized reality, all under the watchful, anxious eyes of grandmothers bound by a secret that could either save them all or become the detonator for an even greater catastrophe. Luna's new scheme, born from her impossible survival, hurtles towards a confrontation where Electra's sudden shift isn't just an obstacle, it's the wild card that could finally send Luna's fragile world, and her dangerous fixation on Will, into an irrevocable, destructive tailspin.